My name's John Coombes. I have been working as a freelance really for most of my life. I worked in television for about 25 years, but as a freelancer on a rolling contract. So you had, when productions were on, you were working full time. When they were off, you had time off. And I used to use that to build houses, or build and renovate houses and things. And now I'm just an independent filmmaker, so I balance my time between making independent films and teaching 2 days a week at the local college. Balancing teaching and freelance is extremely difficult. Balancing freelance by itself is difficult when there's just one of you. I'm a sole trader, it's called. So I have to sell my work, invoice my work, administer my work, do my VAT, do my accounts, as well as doing the work. So I worked out it was about 80% administration and 20% creativity, which is a stupid percentage. But there's a lot of administration to it. And today, in the 21st century, being a freelance filmmaker is not easy. So you have to supplement the income. We've got to put shoes on the feet of the children and food on the table. So I took a job teaching 2 days a week, which has itself quite a bit of preparation and things. And because it's Mondays and Thursdays, I know when it is, I can plan around it. So juggling the freelancing and the teaching isn't too bad. And what's good about the teaching is that I'm talking to people, I'm talking about what I'm doing, I'm finding out about the technology, so I'm sort of keeping very much up to date. I'm not just holed away in a corner in Clayton West. The hardest thing is balancing the actual workload of a freelancer between the administration of it and the creative work of it. The teaching doesn't interfere that much. It's a nice, in many ways, a nice relief to get out of the studio and go somewhere else. I work very lucky. I work in a studio in Clayton West, which was a weaving shed of a mill. They've knocked the mill down. They kept the weaving shed, and the local council had it as a village hall. Then my brother-in-law's family bought it in 1925 and converted it into a printing works. They ran a newspaper from here. They did printing from here. That went up to about 10 years ago, I think, when my brother-in-law retired. So he'd taken it from hand-set wooden type all the way up to computer-driven presses in here. And he retired, and I thought, well, maybe that would be a good place for me to have somewhere, because I like living and working in the same spot. We live here and we work here, and that's great. So we managed to do a deal with my brother-in-law, and we bought the print works. So it's lots of space. So then I converted it to a studio, put a new floor down, ripped out all the old stuff. A lot of it had come from the 1920s, as far as I could work out. Lots and lots of stuff. So I've got a workshop, a studio, and then we've also got somewhere to live as well. So that's a great thing. I managed to do that because all the time working freelance, you don't have an office, you have to work from home. And as a photographer and filmmaker, you need a little bit of extra space. So all the houses I got were slightly odd. Different types of houses, different types of buildings. They all had different space so that I could work from home as well as live at home. And that meant I wasn't a property developer, but I could, when I sold something, I usually made a bit of profit and bought the next one and sold it and made a bit of profit. So I managed to build up my capital so I could afford to buy this place. In the studio in Clayton West, I use it as a photography studio, and I'm seeming to specialise in photographing sculpture and ceramics at the moment, though I do sort of family portraits and things like that. So the studio can be a still photography studio, and I've got the lights and the backdrops and everything set up for that. I also use it to make my own films, because as well as doing sort of documentaries for people, I also do my own independent films, which are usually dance for camera and physical theatre films. And thereby we create a set in here, which might be up for 6 weeks, and dancers and actors come in and we film various bits of it, put it together. I also use it for being interviewed by ex-students, which is often helpful for them. And doing voiceovers, we can do that here. I do films of the sculpture. Sometimes the sculpture's moving sculpture, kinetic sculpture. So I'll do a film of that. So we can black it out. We've got the lights. We've got film lights and flash strobe lights for photography.